So, Universal just announced some of the biggest theme park news in the United States in recent history, in my opinion. They are planning on building a regional theme park focused on families with younger kids. So, this park is specifically focused at a younger audience, and my guess is maybe up to around fifth grade or so, maybe like 11 years old or so, something like that. So, there's going to be fully themed lands and attractions, and there's going to be shows and character meet and greets. Now, they didn't give any specific details on what theme lands they're going to be, but I'm sure it's all going to be family friendly, as that's what this park is focused on. So I'm not expecting to see anything like Jurassic Park or anything like that. So I wanted to look at the concept art for the park, and I'm sure that this is just preliminary concept art, and the park probably won't look that much like this concept art here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of changes to it before it actually gets built. But as you can see here, there's maybe some different themed lands here in different corners of the park. But right at the entrance, it looks like there's a hotel here. It looks like this is like some sort of hotel, and you have the entrance gate right here in the middle. And, this kind of reminds me of Disneyland Paris. They have a like hotel at the entrance, something like that. So if you go over here to the right side of the park, so you can see there's like, I guess it's like some flowers right here. Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're kind of going with here. Maybe it's like a food court, but looks like they have lots of buildings here for shops and probably some indoor rides, stuff like that. As you can see over here, looks like there's some sort of flat ride right here. And then if we look kind of like over here, it looks like there's another like some sort of flat ride, like a boat ride that swings back and forth. So you see that sort of thing at different amusement parks. And then looks like there's some sort of like eating area. I'm not really sure what this is right here, but it's like little huts of some sort. So, yeah. And then we go over here to the top right. Looks like there's another flat ride with like a dragon on top. So it looks kind of like some sort of like Dumbo ride. And over here you can see kind of like a hedge maze. And then we can see in this over here looks like there's like a castle. I'm not sure if that's supposed to kind of be like a Super Mario, like a Nintendo type of theme. Then there's like a forest type of themed area, kind of reminiscent of like Tom Sawyer Island. I don't know, something like that. And then we kind of go over here. It doesn't really show very much right here. Kind of just like a walkway. And this is kind of like another themed area. You can see that here's another like flat ride, it looks like. And some buildings over here. I'm assuming some sort of dark ride over here. So some sort of indoor dark ride, and this kind of looks like almost like the Jurassic Park area and Islands of Adventure, kind of these round buildings, and then over here you see this kind of gate, looks kind of like Jurassic Park, but I don't think they're gonna have anything like that, like Jurassic Park in this theme park because it's focused on families. So, and then it looks like there's another kind of like dark or another flat ride right here as well. Now over here in this corner, you can see there's some sort of like roller coaster here. But what's interesting is that there's no really like walkway over here, so I'm not sure if that's kind of just like room for expansion right here. But it does look like there's a roller coaster. There's a pretty massive building right here. I'm sure this is another building for some sort of attraction of some sort. I'm sure they're gonna have some indoor eating areas as well. And then we go over here to this side of the park. It looks like there's a pretty big playground area. We can see over here there's kind of like a water play area. Then there's some other place here. It looks kind of like a show. I'm not really sure what they're kind of going for right here. This is kind of interesting, but it looks like there's like cages for like birds. So yeah, it's kind of strange, but one of the most interesting things about kind of this concept art is there's kind of like this center, kind of like lagoon area with these fountains, but then you have this like, looks like a boat ride right here. It looks like that ride goes around throughout the entire park, so that's kind of cool. Now I'm not sure if it's gonna be like a water rapids ride, or if it's just gonna be kind of like a gentle boat ride, but I think that's gonna be a pretty cool feature of this park if this if the park does end up looking like this. So yeah, that's pretty much all the different areas of the park. They don't really give any details specifically, and I'm sure a lot of this is going to change. So, but it's a pretty cool concept, and we'll see kind of what happens in the future. So, an opening date. Now, they didn't really give any details as far as when this park is expected to be opened. My guess is that this park is going to be opened sometime after Epic Universe. I would guess maybe about 2 to 3 years after Epic Universe, so that maybe be around 2027. And I would also just have the expectation of, if Epic Universe fails financially, then I wouldn't expect this park to be built. I think realistically, they probably couldn't afford to build this park if Epic Universe fails. So I wanted to give kind of my opinion and my thoughts on the park. There's not a whole lot of details yet, but just from the preliminary details that we have, I wanted to give some thoughts on it. So a regional theme park like this, in my opinion, is needed in the United States. There isn't really any sort of regional theme park focused on kids like this in the United States, so I think this is a really good idea. Now, Six Flags and Cedar Fair have tried to get families to come to their parks, but they haven't been super successful, and I think mainly that's because their parks are kind of focused on like a lot on roller coasters, and in general, roller coasters scare younger kids, and that really keeps families from coming to their parks. Plus, the dark rides that Six Flags and Cedar Fair have currently, they don't really live up to the quality of a Universal and Disney park. And, I kind of talked about this point in my Improving Six Flags St. Louis video that I made not too long ago about how Six Flags St. Louis, and really just parks like Six Flags and the Cedar Fair parks, really need more than just roller coasters to draw in the family crowd. And in order to really be successful, they really need more themed areas. They need like dark ride attractions that are actually decent to really draw in the family crowd. So really the only options for families really are to go to like Disney World or Disneyland or Universal Studios. There's SeaWorld as well, and Busch Gardens. But then again, they have a lot of roller coasters as well, so that kind of hinders families from going to them. Now, I think that maybe the closest thing to this is probably like Legoland, and Legoland does have a lot of younger kids going to it. I mean, I went to Legoland San Diego growing up, and I really enjoyed it, so I think that this is probably kind of fairly similar to Legoland. But, Legoland's not everywhere in the United States, so I think that, in general, I think that this idea for, like, a regional theme park is a good idea. But I do have some concerns about the current plans and details that we have. So, in the recent past, Disney tried building cheaper, smaller theme parks in the early 2000s, and they ended up failing financially. So specifically, I'm talking about Disney's California Adventure, the Walt Disney Studio Park in Paris, and also like Hong Kong Disneyland. These parks were similar in size to what this park is going to be. These parks failed not just because of their small sizes and, there wasn't really enough to do, but also because of the lack of investment in the rides and just the parks themselves. And the parks didn't live up to the quality of the other Disney parks like Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom. They weren't successful because of the lack of investment, essentially. So in the article that Universal put out, they said that this park is going to carry the same quality as Universal's other larger resort destinations. But honestly, I'll believe that when I see it. The fact of the matter is that a good theme park really needs a very large investment to have quality lands and quality rides that live up to the guest expectations, based on going to the other Universal parks and Disney parks. So I think that if Universal tries to do this inexpensively, if they don't have a large budget for this park, then I can almost guarantee you that this park will fail. Uh, and I'm really hesitant to believe that this park is going to receive a large enough investment, considering that Epic Universe is currently being built, and that's, I'm sure, stealing a lot of the resources right now for Universal. So, and I'm also pretty concerned about the size of the park. I think that it really looks too small. Like there's not going to be enough to do to fill an entire day. So Universal bought 97 acres for this park, and my understanding is that 97 acres isn't just the park. It also has to include the hotel, and as well as like the parking area and the park itself. So this park is going to be substantially smaller than 97 acres. For comparison, currently Disney California Adventure is about 72 acres. That's the park itself. And Hong Kong Disneyland is about 68 acres currently. Those parks were smaller than that when they were first opened up. There's another theme park, Lost Island theme park, just opened up in 2022, and it looks to be similar in size to this park. I went to Lost Island earlier in 2022, and if you want, you can check out the video here, but it was really small, and it didn't really have that many rides. It wasn't really a park that was just focused on younger kids, but there was just like one dark ride and two roller coasters, and one of the roller coasters wasn't even open, and then one of the water rides wasn't open. So they had some rides that weren't open yet, but even with those rides, it wasn't enough to fill up an entire day. Maybe with long lines, if you had to wait in super long lines for every single ride, you could do everything at this Lost Island theme park and fill up an entire day if every ride had like a really long line. But then that just makes it like a really miserable experience. So really, I'm pretty concerned about the size of the park, that I think it's just too small. And also they talk about like a themed hotel. I don't really see the need for a hotel for this park if the park is barely large enough to fill an entire day's worth of time. I think that Universal would be better off using the space taken up by the hotel for more rides and attractions, just to be able to give people more to do. But Universal is trying to build a hotel because a lot of the profit that these parks make is in the like hotel expenses. It's in the food and beverages that they sell every day, and it's not as much in the actual ticket price of the park. So the hotel for them is a pretty big profit for them because they can charge so much every night. And so I can see why they want to build a hotel. I just don't really see how a hotel will work for a park that's this size. So I also want to talk about the location of the park. So it's planned on being built in Frisco, Texas. So that's just north of Dallas. And the other parks that are near it, so there's Six Flags Over Texas. That's right there in Dallas, Texas. And then there's Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio, as well as SeaWorld San Antonio, a little bit south there of Dallas. And then there's Cotoland, which is near Austin. That's a new park that's just opening up here soon, and that's more of like an amusement park. There's also Six Flags Frontier City in Oklahoma City. So those are all basically the closest big parks that are going to be nearby this Universal family regional theme park. So in general, I think Dallas is a really great area for a theme park. The parks that I just mentioned, all of those don't really just focus on the demographic that this park is going to focus on. So I think that this park is going to do well, even though these other parks are relatively close to where this park is planning on being built. I guess one concern though that I have about the location is that Texas is pretty close to Orlando, so I'm thinking that there's probably a lot of families that are just going to end up going to Orlando, and instead of going to this park, they might as well just go to Orlando and go to Disney World and go to Universal there. But if they live in Dallas, then I'm sure if they just go for like the weekend. There is a proposal for a high-speed rail from Houston to Dallas. If that high-speed rail gets built, then I think that's really going to help this park as well, because then a lot of people from Houston are going to be able to easily just go up to Dallas and go to this park for like the day, or maybe for overnight. The Dallas-Fort Worth area has a population of about 6.5 million people, so there's definitely enough people there that live in the area to make this park financially successful. They just have to be able to draw those people in to get them to come. So overall, I think that the idea for a regional theme park is a really great idea. I think that everyone in the themed attraction industry has really seen a need for a park like this, and I'm really surprised that Disney and Universal haven't built something like this sooner. So families need a place to take their kids to, and I'm sure a lot of kids will want to go to a park like this. But like I said, I think that this park just really seems too small, though. With only 97 acres of land purchased for the park, I'm also really hesitant to believe that this park is going to have the high level of quality of the rides and themed lands like Universal says it's going to. I think that the themed hotel could end up hurting Universal, because they might not be able to fill it up to the capacity like they want to, just because I'm concerned that there's not going to be enough to do to fill an entire day's worth of stuff. So if there's not enough to do to fill up an entire day, then people will be hesitant to stay overnight there. I think that the likelihood of whether this park is even built, I think that's really largely dependent upon the success of Epic Universe. So yeah, a lot of things get announced but never actually happen. So what are your thoughts on this new regional theme park by Universal? Let me know in the comments below. Also, consider subscribing to my channel, Thrill Time, for more videos like this one, a lot of theme park and roller coaster content. Also, I wanted to mention that I'm currently in the process of building out a camper van, and I'll be posting videos shortly about that. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribing to my channel as well. Yeah, just thanks for watching the video.